It's a battle of the billionaires as former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg is blasting Jeff Bezos in the Headquarters 2 deal. Bloomberg saying, quote, "You read in the paper Amazon opened one of their new 2 headquarters or are in the process of doing it, very close to here. It's just right across the river. But the reason they came here was not the tax breaks they got, which I didn't think they needed." So is the presidential hopeful changing his tune on subsidies to better position himself for 2020? Joining us now with his thoughts on this, a New York congressman. Mr. Lee Zeldin joins us now. Congressman, good to see you. Now, Mayor Bloomberg, when he was mayor for 12 years, he made all kinds of deals, subsidies, et cetera. Why do you think he's changing his tune now?
Well, I think whether it's pouring tens of millions of dollars into the midterm campaign in 2018, some of the other statements, policy positions that the mayor's taken, it's clear that he is looking at the 2020 presidential race. He may very well get into it. And here's an issue where whether it's the Democratic primary, whether it's messaging or policy, a lot of primary voters look at it as corporate welfare to this company where the head of it is making sometimes billions of dollars in a single day. And then when you transition to the general election, it also happens to be an issue where many Republicans, conservatives believe that we shouldn't be picking winners and losers. And the best thing to do, rather than putting together a package like that to lure Amazon, is that a state like New York should be improving its business climate, providing tax relief, regulatory relief, and that's the way to get businesses to grow and to keep businesses to stay in New York and to lure businesses from other states. So it's a good position to have for both a primary electorate and a general election electorate. And by the way, some of the most vocal critics of it, you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, this freshman rep from that area. So he's thinking about a primary and trying to get votes. It helps from that standpoint to get right into the heart of that Democratic base.
Congressman, this is Scott Martin. I love what you just said there, because the problem is rooted in the local states and municipalities that have high taxes. Because if you look at areas like Tennessee, they don't have problems like this. Texas doesn't have problems with tax issues when they give these subsidies to companies to come there. New York does. Illinois does. California does. Wisconsin with Foxconn. So what are local, say, states or local municipalities going to do, or states in general going to do going forward if they want to lure these businesses there because they're high tax?
Well, actually, they're going to make it worse. They're going to raise taxes even more. They don't believe that they have a revenue problem. So just yesterday, Governor Cuomo was talking about how suddenly, out of nowhere, he found that he has a multi-billion-dollar deficit, and he blames the change to the state and local tax deduction for it without confronting the reality that the reason why our state and local tax deduction is as high as it is because our state and local taxes are as high as they are. There's a reason why that New Yorkers are fleeing, whether it's on the personal side or corporations as well. So I actually would predict that it's going to get worse, not better, because people like Governor Cuomo, they're also thinking about maybe they might want to run for president.
Congressman Steve Forbes here. What will it take for people like Governor Cuomo in New York, Governor Murphy in my home state of New Jersey, who never seem to have found a tax they didn't like? What's going to make them see reason? Why don't the voters throw these people out?
And when Governor Cuomo first came into office, that first year, we passed the nation's strongest property tax cap. He actually came into office back in 2011 with fiscal positions that drew many Republicans, at least on the fiscal proposals, drew support from a lot of Republicans and conservatives. But that very quickly has changed. And now he believes that his tough work is done. So I wouldn't expect Governor Cuomo to come around. I think he believes, as far as tax relief goes, his job is done. It's time to pat ourselves on the back. And now he's really on the policy front looking towards maybe running for president of the United States. I also think that he looks at these deficits and the debt as someone else's problem. It's whoever the next governor is. The burden is going to be on them to fix it when he's done having fun as governor of New York.
Congressman, to go back to your other point earlier, it does seem as though the city council and everybody involved is trying to make it just as unpleasant for Amazon as possible to set up shop here, which is kind of amazing. I mean, they're kind of talking about, aren't you going to unionize? All these things that, frankly, I'm surprised Amazon didn't consider ahead of time. I mean, this is not a surprise that we have a sort of anti-corporate sentiment in New York City. Have you had any conversation with them? Do you have any insight into that?
Well, I think that, well, so first off, on the city council front and some of the local, state elected officials who've been weighing in, federal too, I mentioned Ocasio-Cortez, I believe that it's a great thing if Amazon is coming to our area because we provided a business climate that lures them. We have proximity to New York City. The east end of Long Island is beautiful. We have the beaches. We have, great opportunities on the education front. So our area, there's a reason why people live here and love here. So it is appealing, but you have to improve the business climate. That's really the right way to lure companies like Amazon. Now, I remember it wasn't that long ago where there was a tax proposed on hedge fund managers. And while New York State was proposing a hedge fund tax because it's real popular to tap into the resentment that some of their base has towards success, the governor of Connecticut started personally calling the CEOs of hedge funds saying, why don't you move to Connecticut? And that's the breaking point. So where other governors view their role, and that was a past governor, it's not the current governor of Connecticut, but where other governors view their roles as CEOs, unfortunately, it's hard to get a return phone call from the state of New York, not just from the governor, but from the governor's assistant.
Lee Zeldin, congressman from New York. Lee Zeldin, good to see you. Thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it.